Hello everybody, Thy Lord Root here, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program Career Mode. So, I decided that I couldn't get enough of KSP. Just to recap, our goal for this time around is fuel systems, which means that we'll need to get probably about an additional 100 or so science. And we might move further. We definitely want to hit docking ports at some point, and that will definitely help us. So what we'll do is we will go ahead. We will sort of, now that we have more technology, we'll reimagine our lander. Now, unfortunately, we do not have much in the way of, I guess, of, things like, ladders and such. So we won't be able to land immediately, but we do have a couple of things that'll help us out. So I'm going to reuse the design we had last time to where we will have a separate science payload that will drop off, and that will be fairly easy for us to do. We'll start using this, I guess, as the basis for our deal. One thing we'll want to do is we'll want to add in solar panels. And in fact, I'll put those up here because while solar panels add weight for sure, we do want to be able to power the spacecraft at all times. And we'll want ourselves an antenna, of course. So that what we will do is we'll just angle this up a little bit, and we will put one of these on here since it doesn't really affect the balance all that much. And we'll go with our typical I guess 4 goo pod or whatever. Unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of instrumentation at the moment, but we shall, however, have these guys right here. And we'll put on I guess some stuff for more in the way of I guess maybe not stability, but you know, we'll move this guy down here. In fact, what we'll do is we will put this in a sub-assembly, and we'll call this the I guess we'll have to do something different there. Maybe if I put these guys down here. Let's see, what's that attached to? We'll just, you know, set this guy up here, and we'll put this into our sub-assembly. We'll call it the science payload light, and we'll upgrade that as time goes on. So we got a number of things here. We have, of course, we'll just call this, maybe not Explorer, but Sojourner. This will be the first real, I guess, capsule, or not capsule, but exploration vehicle we have. And we'll want, of course, we will want some improved control on this, no doubt. I think we'll also move these guys over here so that we have some power. And let's see, we need to start thinking about maybe a better rocket for us. Now, unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of, I suppose, of high throughput, vehicles. However, what we can do is we can, make this a three-stage vehicle, and it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to. And what we'll do here is we'll put on a gimbaling rocket. And in addition to that, we'll put down a decoupler. And we'll have ourselves a very large vehicle. One that we can, through time, easily upgrade. So we won't need much in the way of thrust vectoring here if we use control surfaces. But we will naturally want something along the lines of struts to keep us together. And we'll just cluster these guys together so that they don't wobble any. And maybe on the outside we can attach some SRBs. This should be enough to get us into perhaps at least this still may be into orbit. Because we don't have fuel lines yet, we are sort of running into the problem that we don't really have much in the way of I guess of viable options here. We're just going to have to move this cluster of engines down and probably take these winglets. We'll put them somewhere around here, maybe like that. They'll clip through the SRBs a bit, but that's going to be no problem for us. At least I hope not. And we'll take this structural thing here. I forget exactly what they're called, but I guess we can't really do that because of the way that these things are set up. But we'll give this thing a shot. I'm thinking this thing should get us to the moon. And possibly, very possibly beyond. So let's see how well this thing works. It looks like we're wobbling a little bit. We're going to have to account for that for sure. But we'll throttle up. Maybe not by much, because we will have a lot in the way of thrust to help us. And I think for sure this will help us get at the very least to the moon. We may have some space debris along the way, but we'll just have to see. So, we're actually moving a lot faster than I intended at this point. I don't know if this thing appears to be moving so slowly because of the, I guess because of the fact that it's got so much, mass. And we are really quite, I bet we could even turn this thing down a little. But, we do seem to be getting a lot of mileage out of this, which is nice. And we might just go ahead, we'll start our gravity turn pretty soon, I think. And so we're a little bit, shallow, I believe, but I think, this will be fine for us, for sure. In fact, this may give us a little bit too much oomph. So we can probably visit, if nothing else, we could probably visit Minmus with this. And we won't have to worry about free return trajectories. Oh, let's see. What is our deal like? We can probably start speeding up just a little bit. Just to make sure we do not bring our time to apoapse down too much. We are getting rather good performance out of this in my mind. We certainly do have a lot better performance than than I thought we would get. So we'll get our Apple Apps up a little bit. Maybe to 80K or so. It occurs to me that we actually have a little bit too much in the way of fuel. So we're going to be staging pretty soon. Periapsis is, hey, that's nice. We'll bring that dude on down. 80 versus 80, that's a pretty square orbit if you ask me. So let's just get on up there. And this time we won't miss the moon entirely. Let's go ahead and stage. And hopefully that will decay pretty soon. So we're in a pretty straight orbit here. We're 79 by 82. Which is not bad. We have plenty of fuel now. We'll just, see if we can't reach the moon. How close are we? 76. That is pretty nifty there. That will give us this weird escape trajectory, but we'll have more than enough fuel to get there, I reckon. So let's just go ahead and do that. We should be burning now, but we actually picked an opportune time to do this, I think. Or we could almost try to land on the moon at this point, but there wouldn't be any profit in it. So what we'll do instead is we will, we'll attempt to bring some data home with us. We do get, science, I believe, for being in low orbit of the moon, and we do have plenty of data to collect there. So we'll do that. We will collect, some data about the moon and, come back and deliver all that goodness. And it'll be an 11-hour encounter, so, um, that will, of course, mean that we will have, plenty of, plenty of things to do in the interim. So that will not give us the desired um periapts, but oddly enough that will put us pretty close to where we want to be. So we have about 11 hours to wait on that. We might as well I guess we might as well time warp. And we actually still have quite a bit of fuel left, more than half a tank. So getting home should not be a problem for us. I think it's hard to tell. Are we in the rotation of the moon? I don't know, but we do have a fairly um, low periapsis. So let's just see if there's anything here that would give us about what we want. I mean, I'm thinking, more or less we've done all the science we can do in the upper moon. So we have other things that we can do. Like maybe go over some craters. That's a 53-second burn for us. So it should be coming up pretty quickly. We'll do it at about, I don't know, about 30 seconds or so, 25 seconds. And we are right in position for that, so we will have plenty of Delta V left for this. So that is more or less our orbit. I think we've done a pretty good job with that. And we still have plenty of fuel to get home. So let's start doing our science. We of course have the materials bay. We're high over the moon. It looks like It looks like that probably will not do. What about the crew report? Well, get ourselves to, let's get ourselves to our, apoapsis. Maybe that'll give us something new. If not, then we'll have to go a little bit lower. Oh, we'll get where we want to get real quick, and we'll just lower our apsis. Maybe to 45? It's kind of difficult to tell what constitutes, low orbit here. So let's try now. Can we get ourselves a good crew report? We can. And furthermore, we can get ourselves a materials bay report as well that'll give us 75 science. So, what else can we do? Well, I want to get some mystery goo out of the way. It'll give us 30 science. And we'll just get that out of the way real quick. We'll keep that data. And so I guess instead of a lunar flyby, what we'll do is we will do a return to Kerbin. That will put us pretty close to the planet, and we will need for that we'll want to go up here to this high orbit. Maybe we can get this a little bit closer. But probably, no, I think that's about as good as we are going to get. And so we'll be able to, we'll be able to do various things once we get back. We'll definitely want a 20 or so minute deal going on. And we want to bring this down just a shade because we are very slightly out of alignment. But when we reach our periapse, then we will begin to make some adjustments. We are very slightly outside of our range, so I guess we'll just have to see where that takes us. We'll go through, we'll bring our periapse down to be, to allow for aero braking. And that is a 19-hour mission we've got there. So let's just fast forward until we get there. And we nearly missed that. However, we should be pretty close by. In fact, it probably would not hurt us to go a little bit sooner than later. But that will give us a fair amount of science from that. It occurs to me, I think I forgot to do the EVA report. We'll have to get that on the next mission, probably. But yeah, we have plenty of fuel. We could, probably, we could probably do our thing here. So we will just wait for re-entry to occur. If we're lucky, we might actually land on something worth looking at. And we'll be able to use this modular probe in order to handle that. But that does not look to be the case, so we are definitely at this point we're definitely aero braking. Although, you know what I could do? I could burn here and bring down some of this velocity. Is there anything here we can get as a crew report? No, we cannot. So I will just jettison that. And I think we are pretty much landing in the water on this one. Oh no, we are landing. We are landing pretty close by. Come to think of it, so I guess we'll just we'll wait for the parachutes to deploy, or to get pretty close to deploying, and we'll see if we can get out. And we're gonna have a rough landing, it looks like, but that'll give us time for this capsule to land. Now, of course, since we're landing on the side of a mountain, that could be an issue for us. Although it appears it isn't. And we're still pretty close to landing, so let's just pull Jebediah out. Get ourselves an EVA report. And maybe take a surface sample. That's actually fairly nice. I like that. So let's get back in. We will recover this vessel. And we probably got a fair amount of science just from that. But we also have this other vessel that we can get. And I'm not quite sure where that is. I'll just recover this. So this guy, his orbit is still decaying. And we'll get this guy that has all of our delicious data. So we have 197 science now. That's going to be good for a lot of things. Most notably, our fuel lines, which we really want. So let's see. We can do, we do fuel management, fuel systems. We need advanced rocketry for that. Well, what does that yield us? That does give us bigger parts that we can use. And this gives us RCS. And as far as science is concerned, we have a couple of things. Advanced construction. We can do mech job, hydraulic detachment manifolds. Is that what we want? Actually, I think we could go for another experiment. We need more science in order to do that, so our next step, I think, should probably be Minmus. Although we could technically make a moon landing. That actually probably would not be a bad idea. So we have this thing that we know will work. And given Minmus's escape gravity, we probably are going to be fine with what we have. But I do want to completely redesign this because it is rather important to have a good design on this rocket. So what I'll do is I will cluster these guys together. We're no longer dependent on our, I guess on our, whatchamacallit, our deals. We have the thrusters, but we don't have the fuel for that. That's kinda weird. So why don't I do this? I will duplicate this guy. And we will begin by, maybe, yes, it wants to be up here. We'll begin by, bringing this over. we'll replace this with the higher throughput engines. And of course we will want we'll want to make sure that this guy is firmly attached to a rocket. There are a couple of other things we'll definitely want to do here, like we want on this stage for separation, for the purpose of separation rather, we want something kind of like this that we can use when this decoupler is released. So we have this guy. Let's see if we can take those two stages and merge them. That would actually be a really nice feature. Why can't we do this? Is something in the way here? I don't know. But let's just make one more duplicate and bring this guy down. So this is going to be a fairly heavy-duty rocket with 7 engines in it. And we actually have mech job now, so see, this guy should go next, and we have one more here. Just bring this guy up here. And I did sort of do this in a nonsensical way. So they'll detach first, that will go next, and this is what's left behind. So we'll put down these fuel lines. So that we have cross-feed there. We'll do the same here. And then we will strut this guy up. Of course, we'll need a name for this guy afterwards. Might have to come up with something inventive for it. Let's see. We are not strutted in with this dude. And we do need to rectify that. Put this down here for the purposes of control. And we of course need a fuel line to come down here so we can hook into the main stage like we've done here. Really the only thing left is to put this strut down for this one guy. And I guess this will be the proving grounds for the rocket now. I'm just kind of curious, how much Delta V do we have currently? Because we do have Mech Jub available now. Oh, I need an entry purchase in R&D. Well, I guess we don't have Mech Jub. But we do have, we do have this guy right here. We can take this dude and, just hook him up so that we don't wobble as much as we were. Let's see what else we can do before we launch. I guess we'll put control surfaces down because we want to be able to steer this thing, and while we do have the gimbaling action of this rocket, but you know what, we may not need that though. We'll just have to see. The one thing we do want to make sure of, I think we're more or less stable. We'll just have to see. But if we want to go to Minmus, which would be a first for this channel, let's just do one thing, make sure we've got everything done correctly. We are wobbling a little bit, but that's bound to change. I mean, I think we have everything we need in the way of control. And this should be enough to get us precisely where we want to be. We'll just, well, that's probably a good place for our throttle, actually. Seems like a good place. In fact, we would probably stand the throttle up a little bit. Maybe cut down a hair. And I'd definitely say that is a good rocket design to my way of thinking. Maybe the only thing that might improve it is if we had a little bit more oomph, but given that we don't, we should do a gravity turn, by the way. We should consider ourselves more or less, I guess, maybe not in orbit, but we should consider ourselves more or less accomplished on this. We have 26 seconds to Apple apps. So we're going to have a while before we get our maximum efficiency out. How are we doing on resources there? This rocket is definitely a bit on the overkill side. But I mean, we do want to, we do want to have this fuel available for us. See. And I do believe we're doing fairly well in that regard. So we could almost, there we go. You know, we could almost, maybe get to, oh, we don't want to do that. See, what are we at? 77, 81, 81, 78, 79, 82. That seems to me to be as good of a deal as any. So we only have 400 meters per second of delta V to go, which is... It definitely means this rocket is overpowered. Or at least to my way of thinking it is. Ooh, oh, nearly missed the burn point there. But it also means that we can, you know, we can get to Minmus and back very easily. And we might even be able to do a flyby of Eve with this. So what's our orbit at? 76. We'll just, we'll get that set up. Although that's really not a bad deal there. So let's find Minmus. Where is Minmus? That's Tylo. I'm sure some of y'all are screaming at me to use the mouse wheel, and the truth of the matter is that I don't have one on this laptop. Now I do have an external mouse that I can plug in, and maybe that'll help just a little bit. Oh, we got a lot to do here, a lot of work. We need to set this as our target and the first thing we'll want to do is we'll want to adjust our inclination. So where is that descending node? We have a 5.8 degree inclination here that we're going to need to take care of. So our descending node appears to be the best place, the first place to adjust that. Now what we can do, of course, is we can bring this down quite a bit. We'll go down to maybe 0.4, 0.3, 0.2. You know what, that's close enough. We'll just, we'll get that plane matched. And we have another 4 minutes and 20 seconds of burn time for that. So we'll burn at 10 maybe. And that will, I'll call that good enough. So now the deal is we want to find a way to intercept the Minmus, preferably by getting. Well, what happened there? What is that with? No, don't do that. Oh, only unplug this mouse. It's causing me issues. I think we'll just want to orbit this thing. Minmus periapsis. That's 1 day of travel, and I don't know if we could perhaps do better with that. If we're not careful, we will eject ourselves out into the... Oh, come on. We want to be careful because if we're not, we'll eject ourselves out into the solar system. Let's see, that's Moon. But we want Minmus. So that will... Let's quick save here. We haven't really done that much yet. Because that may kick us out into the solar system, and I don't know if I'm prepared for that. And if I had really thought about it, I could have put landing legs on this thing so that we might have, you know, actually landed on Minmus. But this is actually my first time trying to get a Minmus encounter, so it's probably for the best that I don't attempt to land and get. So we'll bring this thing down. We're gonna burn it. 31 seconds it looks like. We're gonna want to get in position, of course, because we drifted. But yeah, so far I'm very impressed with the way this spacecraft has turned out. I mean, it's turned out to so far be quite an awesome little spacecraft. The nice thing about this is we will get a free return trajectory. Did we overdo this? I'm not entirely sure, but maybe. Oh shit, that's not good. Well, no, we do have free return trajectory though. And how much fuel do we have? We still actually have a really absurd amount of fuel. I mean, certainly more than enough. At least to my way of thinking, for us to get where we're trying to go. Now the real question is, will the moon get in the way? And my thought is, we're probably going to have a brief mooner encounter. But we're about to have to be careful, because pretty soon these two orbits will collide. And we will have to be incredibly careful when that happens. Because, wow, that is a lot of Delta V to kill. I don't know if we can reasonably do that. Let's go ahead. We'll get an EVA report out of this. Nice. So it's 32 science we've got. Get a crew report too. And we will attempt to land. Where is my targeting thing? 41. I'm guessing 26 is about where I want to be at. Let's at least use one of these goo containers to pick up some science. We'll reserve the other two for our near encounter. Let's see, where is our crew report? And we'll just recycle that. And so it'll take about an hour before we get to our burn point. Or 2 hours really, let's get to where we're supposed to. And whoa, I'm oscillating out of control. No, stop doing that. There we go. I think we are more or less on target. We do want to be careful here not to overshoot the burn like last time, because that could lead to some very dire consequences. That could be quite disastrous for us. And so, what we'll do is we will go ahead and let's just bring this down. It says I've got 1 second. I don't quite trust that. We need to do a test burn. So 13 seconds is about what we got. Which means we should ideally burn about 7 seconds in or so. And let's just bring that down. Just a little bit. The endurance of this thing does surprise me a little bit. No, we are definitely here in high orbit. Let's see if we can lower that some. In fact, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to see if there's another crew report for us to take. The answer to that appears to be no. Oh, what are we at? 109, 37. I'm just going to get a shade lower. I think that is going to be, more or less it for us. I'm gonna jettison this stage on the surface because I don't think we're going to get much more utility out of it. Wherever the surface may be, I can't really tell. I'm assuming this must be it, though. Let's see, that's prograde, so... Minmus really is a small little moon, ain't it? We'll just warp on in. Taking care, of course, not to overshoot our burn point. Oh, pardon me. So, we'll bring this down just a shade. And there it would appear as Minmus. Let's see if we're in a low enough orbit. Observe materials by... Nice, that's 100 science we got there. So let's get in position for this burn. Well, that was certainly close. And I think, well, you know, we could use this to boost us away. And I think we're ready to do our basic measurements here. That's 40 science, we'll keep that. That is another 40 science there. Let's see, review report. Let us transmit. Let's see, crew report. Is there any point in taking a crew report? No. And so I think we are more or less at the point now to where we want to, I'll just save here just in case we screw up, but we're at the point now to where we want to bring periapsis. That is quite a way out. Is there a way that perhaps we can bring that in some? Maybe if we... Yeah, I think if we lower this just a little bit to get on that orbital plane. Then we will be fairly close by. I don't know which direction we're going to come in at, though. I mean, we will certainly want to, we'll certainly want to, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do my EVA report here. There's no point in doing the EVA report if you don't. Oh, we are in a bit of a situation here. I accidentally have let it go of the capsule. And now EVA fuel is limited, so we do want to be careful. We want to get back in as soon as possible. There we go. Let's see. Now where is this, where is this thing? Oh man, I killed my node. Can we move this about some to bring us in closer? That's 17. You know, I think that'll be good enough for now. We'll just, we'll save here now. We've collected all of our research. And we'll find, a magical mark of ours. So let's go ahead. We will get into position. And we'll want to do this at about 3 seconds or so. That would seem most appropriate. But we're a little bit over, but we're actually doing pretty good. See if we can bring this down just a shade. As long as we don't escape, that's the main deal. So we have some good news. Our abscess is actually really quite high at this point, and that means we can just go ahead and do a little burn here and bring our abscess down just a little bit. So, We might have some space debris. In fact, I'm gonna reload. And I'm just going to jettison this into the planet. That was not enough delta V for us. However, if we do look at this other thing, we are now definitely going to crash into Minmus. So, yeah, let's just save that. We don't really need that much in the way of let's see, now where is the planet? We don't need that much in the way of I guess whoa. Okay, I can deal with that. That's actually not a bad trajectory to take. It will take a little while, but you know, we'll be close by. And because I don't know the efficiency of this barn, I'm gonna give myself about a minute to do corrections. That's about 50 seconds. We'll just bring ourselves on down to 25. And we'll use the rest of this fuel to get back home. So let's see. We can bring this down just a hair. I'd rather wait, however, for I suppose for this deal to come. So now we have the question of how are we going to bring our periapsis down. 139. We are now going to collide with the planet if we're not careful. That's a 10-second burn, it looks like, that we're going to have to deal with. So we're almost there. So we will, I think we'll burn at 5. And that should bring us home. So, the periapsis is another day away. I think we should sit back and enjoy the the view. Because we will be coming in quite. Well, I don't need to do that. That's the deal with time warp. You gotta be careful, or else you'll skip past the planet. As you can see, we have plenty of fuel, and I'm gonna start right now. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna see real quick. Just how well this thing does. Whoa! I'm gonna at least bring down some of my Delta V. We'll pop down into the ocean, but I'm not too sure that I care about that too much. I mean, the main question is going to be whether or not we can, whether or not we can, get this thing down into a reasonable, um, altitude. And we're still, burning up just a little bit, even with all that. So we'll use this, I think, to slow ourselves down just a little bit. We don't need to do any real braking as such, but we do, however, want to set this up so that we are more or less losing velocity pretty easily. I think I'm gonna go ahead and jettison that fuel. There's no point in keeping it around. Oh, let's just time warp. There we go. I think maybe we should make an attempt to not land immediately. Or not immediately, but on our nose. So let's just go ahead and touch down. We should have gotten, I hope, plenty of science from this. And I think my next goal here is probably going to be docking ports so that we can build space stations, or maybe I might try to get on the moon. I mean, that probably... Both are good goals, I think. But we'll have to see. Anyway, let us recover this, because we've splashed down now, and I'm expecting quite a bit of science from this. We really have actually gathered a lot of data. We have 385 science, and that in part came from EVA reports. Let's see. We have mystery goo over Minmus. Others in space while near Minmus, so I'll have to remember that. Um, we have the recovery of a vessel returned from orbit around Minmus, as opposed to a flyby, and that gave us 20 science. And so we have plenty now. We can start unlocking a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's see what we might unlock. One of the things we wanted was new instruments. Let's see. That'll give us ladders and barometers. That's worth 160. This gives us bigger batteries. And this gives us stuff for probes, like RCS. Let's see what this is. We could do space planes. Could drill for kethane. Or we could do this. I think these ladders here are going to be worth quite a bit to me. So let's see what we have that might be worth it. We could get bigger engines. Or we could potentially go with delta wings. It's a hard decision. Although I think aerodynamics may be a good place to start, because that means we can fly around Kerbin and get some actual, get some actual results out. If we're going to do that, though, we're going to want a landing gear to land with. That's a hard decision. Well, I can build a little rocket plane and fly it around Kerbin. And if that's the case, and I should easily, one would think, be able to get space planes. Let's see what else we have here. I mean, I think this is pretty much we could do probes, but probes I think we should send to deep space. And at any rate, we have enough to do a lander now, so I think I'm going to do that on our next mission. Until then, I will see you later.